Okay, here's video number 5. Number 5 is live. Number 4, I tried to do live, but it didn't work. But it only had audio, no video. So we kept it up there, but we're going to go with this is number 5. So first off, the bad news. It's November 20th, and 45 minutes ago, it started snowing for the first time in Rockford in 2024, unfortunately. That means it's time to think about going to Florida. So, all right, let's see. Now I got this going. I can see if I can do this without my glasses. See if I can keep my eyes open. See, my eyes are closed. So, today I want to bring up the topic of work and making money. Since I had to apply for a couple of jobs all yesterday afternoon, hopefully those will go well. But see, I'm trying to get my head straight. I'm always crooked. So, moving around too much. So, work. I got a question. What's the first time you ever made money as a child? Now, I can say that the first time I ever made money was probably allowance, but allowance didn't come free. Allowance came with a minimum of cut the grass, pick the weeds, pick up the dog poo, make sure the pool's clean. And if all that was done, then my sister and I would get tossed a couple of bucks. So today, I think kids just get given money. They don't have to do anything for it. Parents are soft. So, see, I'm rambling. So what I'm going to mention or what I'm going to do is list or talk about and say the things that I can recall since I was a child where we did stuff, tried to make money through the jobs I've had today. If you have any questions about them, but I'm just going to try to ramble stuff off up to the present and see where it goes. So obviously when we were kids, allowance. The first recollection that I can remember making money after that is we used to do carnivals when we were kids. There was probably 3-4 summers in a row where every summer we were doing carnivals in the neighborhood and inviting the neighborhood kids in to come play games and go to our carnivals. And we did that with ourselves, the Albersons, the Metzlers, the Osborns on our block. So we'd do our carnival, and then down the street there were the Butlers, and they'd have their carnival and stuff. And we'd charge people and split the money, and that's how we made a couple of pennies for candy. And then there's also then the next thing I can recall making money on was I used to jump the bicycle and jump over ramps, and then I jump the bicycle and crash it in the garbage cans on purpose if they give me a couple quarters. So we did that as kids. Had a good work ethic. Our parents were construction workers. My mom worked in an office. Our family was all union workers and all the cousins. And I don't know, just being born in the 60s, I just think kids back then had a better work ethic. So as we got older, then it was do extra things around the house and chores. And me and my buddy would go shovel driveways, of course, every winter, and made some decent money doing that. And one winter we made enough money, we bought a snowblower, and that all works out good when you're younger. Don't see kids out today shoveling driveways. Too much work for them. Oh, let's see. Then the first job I can remember having was when we were in high school. There was a bindery or a company that made 3-ring binders right around the corner from our house. So they actually hired like 4 of us from the neighborhood, and the bus would drop us off there after school. And we'd go there and punch holes in 3-ring binders and use a rivet machine and put them together and box them and pack them and do the silk screening. And then when we were done, we were close enough that we would just walk home. And that was, geez, before I had a driver's license. And then the next job I recall after that is I was in football, and during the off season, a group of us got a job at Marshall Field's warehouse. So we packed the trucks at the distribution center, and all the stuff would come into Marshall Field's warehouse, and then we'd come in at night and separate it all and load it onto the trucks that would go to all the different Marshall Field stores. Ended up doing that through high school. And then as my end of high school, summer, junior year, and senior year, I would went to work for my dad in refractory construction. So it was construction labor, busting butt, but making decent money. So that was all fine and dandy. Didn't go to college for other reasons we'll discuss later. Ended up staying in construction. Did that for a number of years, and in the early 80s, that was real good money. Was working in oil refineries and making bank and driving a Mustang. So life was good. Then I got hurt on the job. I got my finger smashed off. No fingertip gone. Oh, there we go. I got my fingertip smashed off in the fall. So while I was doing that, or recuperating from that, I took that winter and went to bartending school. So after bartending school, I was immediately hired at a place in Schaumburg called Mother Tucker's. Mother Tucker's led to working as a lead bartender at nightclub and Chit Chat. Chit Chat, while I was there, that led to starting an underground sprinkler system company with my roommate. Did that for a year while bartending. Let's see, then while I was bartending with my buddies Bill Irwin and Bill Dooley, we patented a motorcycle stereo called Tank Tunes, and still have a patent on that to this day. Although we don't sell Tank Tunes anymore because of the iPod put us out of business. From bartending at Chit Chat, doing those side jobs, I quit bartending. For a short time, I sold alarm systems to houses. That didn't go too well. I got back into the bar business. After Chit Chat, we bought a bar. So I bought a bar with my partners. We bought Dooley's Bar in Bellwood, owned and ran that. After Dooley's Bar in Bellwood, Bill bought Dooley's in Schaumburg. And nope, before that was Time Out in Algonquin. So Dooley's in Bellwood, Time Out Sports Bar in Algonquin, Dooley's in Schaumburg. Those 3 bars took up a good portion of my life. In the bar, restaurant, hospitality business, lots of fun. Back then, if you asked me when I was in the bar business if I would ever live to be 60 years old, I would have bet you $1 million and wouldn't have happened. But here we are. So after a tenure with our own bar businesses, we through some tax issues, we ended up losing the bar. I ended up going to work corporate for TGI Fridays, which was an experience. So I was a bartender in TGI Fridays in Carpentersville for, I think that was 3 years, 2-3 years, with my buddy Harry Greenberg. He took off, and then we went to the previous bar we owned in Lake in the Hills, Time Out, got purchased by a bunch of local guys, and they called it Coach's Inn. And I went back to be a general manager at that bar and did that for another couple of years. Then after that, I got into that's when I started moved back out to Schaumburg after my dad passed away and got into the aerospace business. And that's where I started selling O-rings and seals to a company in Japan that made all the actuators for Boeing aircraft. So I did that for 3 years, and when I asked my boss for a raise, he said no. He said I couldn't take vacation to go snowmobiling, so I quit. And I started my own company, EMG Trading. Ended up taking one of my customers with me and did $1 million the following year from my kitchen. Did that for 3 years, brought in a partner into that. Ended up letting him take over EMG Trading in 2000 when I left to go to Florida. Now, in between going to Florida in 2000, when I was working for Chit Chat in the bar and we had tank tunes and the motorcycle stereos, we were doing with that. During this whole time, we were doing motorcycle shows, traveling to conventions, and doing Daytona Bike Week, been to Sturgis with tank tunes, numerous rides around Illinois. We ended up selling quite a few stereos. But like I said, once the iPod came out, that kind of went away. So after that, moved to Florida in 2000, went to work for Teresa Lawson and Bill Lawson doing outboard propulsion or jetpack or Sword Marine or whatever company we were until they got sold out in 2005. I did that for 5 years down there, 4 years, 5 years. Pretty much did all that down there. Did tank tunes for the first 2 years I was down there, and then that kind of went away in the about 2003, 2004. Oh, so after doing OPS and doing the whole Florida thing and packed my stuff up in 2005 and came back home. And once I came back to Illinois, I ended up going into, what did I do? Nothing for a while. Then I ended up going into logistics for one of my buddies that owned a logistics company, Rad Express. And I did hot shots for a couple of years, just, driving all over the place. I've done, one of the best jobs I did was I drove 6 cans of spray paint from Chicago to the Norfolk Naval Base in Virginia. Just crazy stuff like that. Did that for a couple of years. Rolled a 2000 Tundra pickup truck in up north, coming home from a trip. Rolled that 3 times in a snowstorm. Totaled that. Almost died. Bought a cargo van. Kept doing logistics. Then from that led to my aerospace career, where I went to work for JetX doing AOGs, aircraft on ground purchasing for Ryan International Airlines was one of their customers. We also took care of the U.S. Marshal Service at the time, the J-Patch Conair planes, and I was a nighttime AOG controller. I worked from 5 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock in the morning. Great job. Love the industry. So did that was with them for about 3-4 years. At the time I was doing that, I started my BMX racing team out in Rockford. I have K9 Rockford BMX that my nephew raced on. That worked out because once I got laid off from JetX, I had 2 years that I dedicated to BMX racing and building my race team and enjoyed doing that. And then I got a job with AAR, set up their evening AOG desk that they did, and stayed in the AOG aircraft industry for another 4 years. Continued doing BMX racing during that whole time. Formed a non-for-profit, State Line BMX. Once that grew, I passed that on. I got laid off from AAR because I said we had such a good AOG desk. They had corporate restructuring, and they moved my job to Europe, the whole desk. Laid off 4 people over 50 years old and sent all our jobs to the UK, to 25 and under kids that were getting paid half the price we were. So AOG desk job there disappeared, laid off again. Actually, I was laid off then for another, it was about another 2 years. During that time off, just stayed involved in BMX racing still, and got hired on at Jet Midwest to start their AOG desk, 24/7 dedicated aircraft on ground service. After doing work for them for 3 weeks straight, no days off, to get that all set up for them. Did AOGs for Jet Midwest for almost 3 years, and they expanded to Europe, and supposedly took the AOG desk and moved it to Europe, and I got laid off from the AOG desk again. So now I've been off all during 2004, and it just so happens yesterday came up doing my research, trying to get back into the U.S. Marshal Service and JPATS so we can fly all them immigrants back home. One of the expediter companies that I follow, all of a sudden they had 4 job postings for AOG desk. AOG desk lead, AOG desk supervisor, and nighttime AOG. Ding, ding, ding. When that comes up, it's usually my position. So got everything turned into them yesterday, just waiting for a reply back from them. Hopefully that'll be a remote position again. It should be, because it's nighttime AOG, but in case it's not, it's in Doral, Florida, and I have no problem going to Florida. So that's, I think, most of the things that I used to do to make money, along with other extracurricular activities that we can't mention. And if anybody that knows me, they know I'm always trying to hustle and get something going. Got lots of ideas. Not all of them come to fruition, though. Oh, yeah. And don't forget, I got the boat company that I started 2 years ago. Got the boat done last year, used it all this year, but you pretty much can't call yourself a boat company if you only build one boat and that's all you have. So I have my boat. All right, that's rambling for today. I guess that's video number 5. Later. Can't see the off button. And the glasses go back in.